Hello, I'm Shanae Jackson, and this is the Idea to Empire podcast. Today we have SuperKate. She is a personal well being badass. She has so much to tell you, and I'm excited for her to come on. So, let me tell you a couple of words about her, and then I'll bring her on. So, Super Kate spent years in the entertainment industry and she was organizing artists and bands. And then after severe burnout, she turned her focus towards wellness and movement practices. She has combined her skills to support people in their personal and professional lives to get clear on their needs and create better systems and lives that encourage us. So, without further ado, let me invite Super Kate to the stage. Pew, 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 pew. I need to insert some stuff when you come on. What's up, Super Kate? What's up?
Not much. How are you? It's so wonderful to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on the Idea to Empire podcast.
Absolutely.
You're killing it. I told everyone that you're a personal well-being badass, and so we're gonna jump right into it. Tell folks about you. I read your bio. They have the 3, 4 sentences, but tell us about you.
I have been very honored to spend a lot of time with artists and visionaries in the entertainment world, ranging from theater to television to music, and getting to tour internationally. And really, it's such an incredible life. And I mean, 40-hour work week doesn't even touch it. It's like you do whatever you need to do to get stuff done. And while there's some really amazing camaraderie about that, after years, it can really lead to long-term burnout. And so after my most recent position in that world ended, I mean, I needed to cut everybody out. I just didn't, there was too much noise. Everything annoyed me. And so I got quiet for a couple months and sort of looked at what can my next direction be. And I've in different ways always been a mover. Um, played sports growing up and have been a dancer since my early 20s.
Yeah.
And my body needed some attention. And I went with my gut and reconnected with a friend of mine who was a Pilates teacher, and we had a great conversation. And I was like, this sounds exactly like what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I dove right in, which is kind of what I do with a lot of the directions I've gone in my life. And of course, the movement practices became functional movement practices, became general wellness practices, became, oh my gosh, we are, as a society, especially here in the US, just really wearing people out, and there should be better systems in place. And so that has really been like my goal, is combining my organizational skills with all of these wellness practices to support people and keeping their lives so they can be sustainable, because there's really no such thing as balance. You always have to have some hustle, some relaxation. There's never going to be an evenness between the two. So how can we do those but maintain, because you don't want to get to retirement, if you're even lucky to have retirement, and be too tired to do anything.
You break down in exhaustion.
Like, that doesn't sound like fun. So, and we should be enjoying time now too. That's not for then. We should always be spending life living.
Yeah.
While also, doing whatever you need to do to live in the world that we currently are existing in when it comes to these systems. So
Here we are. So we should love what we're doing and how we're being in it. I get it. Tell me about your business. So you do all these. You've gotten from that place of I'm running it in the entertainment industry, theater, stage, all of those, and then now you're not doing that. So tell me about the business.
So I have started combining all of my skills, and I've been helping women primarily women, honestly, because so many of our cultural practices fall like on women taking care of things. And
Yeah.
so, especially women who have their own businesses, have kids, there are just so many plates that they're juggling. And even on those plates, there's so many things. So I can come in and help juggle some of those plates and eventually take plates away from them, help with their calendar, help with anything that they need virtually, but while also providing movement and mobility and mindset and breath work that is going to then give them the opportunity to get to know their bodies better, understand how and where they hold stress so that they can begin to get ahead of those
Yeah.
moments.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I really provide the accountability, the day to day of I hate that term, holding their hand, but sometimes
Like that's
it's the support. Like, no, I got you. I'm here. How can I support you today? So
yeah.
yeah, combination of all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. You need all the things. So, you know, this audience are you and I. They're like you and I, right?
Yeah.
We're both business owners. We're both doing what we got to do. We're both juggling all the things. Tell me a little bit about some struggle and maybe in yourself, in your clients, like what's a struggle that you've had to deal with and how did you get out of it? How did you sort of maneuver? It's hard out here for
Yeah.
us.
It really is. It's
Yeah.
so again, like while we're building these businesses, we own these businesses, we're also expected to maintain everything outside of the businesses as the status quo of what it was before. And especially when you're starting a business, you have to do so many things yourself. And while that's empowering in a way because you get to learn all of these new skills, it is really overwhelming. One of the big things for me was one, not letting my head get too far away from me because you can let all of those thoughts, all of
Mhm.
those old injuries from your earlier life, all of the limiting beliefs and everything really make you think like this is who do you think you are? I'm like, I'm Super Kate. Really? Are you Super Kate? So getting through that and not trying to do even more things to compensate, like, well, I can add more things to my plate. And
Yeah.
so with that, one of the things that I have found has especially recently really helped me is simplifying. Now, I'm still juggling as many plates as I was before, but using things like my desktop, which I've always been pretty proud of not having too many files on my desktop. But I've
Yeah.
kind of always had my like instant messenger down there too. And removing that, not checking it while I'm working, and also putting all of those files in just one folder at the top, instant, like instantaneous for me to not have that chaos in my eyes. And then starting to close tabs.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
and
Yes.
I was not a tab person until I started doing this. And now I'm like, how many tabs? You have 4 windows and at least 10 tabs each. And how long have
No
all
less than 10 tabs each. Let's pause. I'm afraid to share my screen. Like, I just my computer shut down, so I currently have 4 windows open, and they have 4 tabs. But I didn't press open it to history to open up the other window.
right, right. Danger zone, danger
They
zone.
don't look.
Yeah. And I like once I started closing them, realizing like every single time I see those, it's like a guilt trip that I haven't looked at it yet.
Yeah, yeah,
And most of them I don't need to look at. Most of them I can glance at and close it, but just that visual simplification has been a huge weight off of my shoulders.
yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the things that I have given to my clients and I definitely use in myself.
I think at least I'll speak from the I. I use all of my tabs as a crutch. right? It's not that I've already looked through them. I've already, I already know what I know, right? But but if I keep that tab open, there's going to be that one time that it's going to be useful that time. And if I close it, then I'm going to forget completely about it. And the internet is so big that,
Right?
just it we're brilliant. We are brilliant. We already know what we need to know. So
Yeah.
closing the tab, closing the window, closing the instant messenger, absolutely. Close
Yeah.
it down.
Removing apps off your phone that you don't use anymore or that you mostly don't use. And I've been trying to stay away from social media for a while. I go on, I post, I interact because it is still I have friends there, I have business there, but it's so much. So yeah, simplify.
Yeah.
Just enjoy silence. Enjoy being by yourself.
Let's talk about that silence because as a business owner, if my phone, I have it right here. If I don't have
Mhm.
my phone, oh shoot, I gotta, oh, there's some things tell us how do we get to that point where silence is okay, but I can still have a successful business?
I think silence comes easier to some people than others. Just like being alone,
Yeah.
same thing. Um, and something that I come back to for my clients is just focusing on your breath. Focus on the inhale, focus on the exhale. And if it's still too much, there's this really great, it's called a butterfly hug. It's not something I ever expected to want to do, but you just have your hands here and you can just do slight, little strokes or little kisses with your fingers,
Yeah.
whatever rhythm you want, even your whole hand. And this releases oxytocin, which calms you down.
And big breaths,
And
yes. Yeah.
yeah, and I often add this before or after, usually before I go into what is commonly called as the five senses practice. And so
Okay.
typically I do this with my eyes closed. You don't have to, especially if you're in a place that you just feel safer with your eyes open.
Sure.
Um, but it's taking in right next to you, what do you see, smell, hear, feel, and taste. And now the taste isn't going to change a whole lot when
Sure.
we go farther out, but focusing really in on your being and then taking that about 5 feet away from you.
Hmm.
Does that change? And then taking that a little farther and just seeing, especially with your hearing and your visual, if you're keeping your eyes open,
Yeah.
that those you pick up new things. And it's just a very simple mindfulness practice, but it allows you to have that silence without being so aware of that silence. I mean, I just had a train go by, but usually I can hear that thing,
You're right.
a mile out, right? So if I'm really just in the silence. So sometimes I bring myself back down because I'm having just a crazy day and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I go into
We've
those
all we've all
places.
got that, right?
Yeah.
Oof, it's been a day. I've been on the phone all day. I've had to talk to people that, were tough. We'll say that. They were tough. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's just not even counting all of the extraneous things that we have in our lives. I mean, I heard a statistic recently that if you took a person from 700 years ago and a person from now, this person in a lifetime doesn't have as many new experiences as a person does today. Now, the new experience can be you went a different route to
Sure.
work, you
Sure.
know, you saw a different car sitting next to you in the parking lot. There's varying degrees of new experiences. But then if you think about on top of that, all of the notifications and all of the information coming at us through social media, through the news, through our friends, like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, just
Yeah.
so much. So really having that opportunity to acknowledge I wasn't evolutionarily ready for this. And that's okay. Our brains aren't ready for this. So, what can I do in this moment to acknowledge that and move forward? And it's hard. It's really hard sometimes.
Yeah. Yes. I'm like, I'm leaning back a little bit because I'm feeling seen, heard.
Like, do you feel you've been given a little more permission to freak out if knowing that like your brain isn't actually ready for all of the stuff that
Yeah.
happens on a daily basis?
Well, like I mean, even today, right? Like I had to go to the vet, I had to get my stuff together, I had to see you, I had to send out things, I had like I, half the time, you're rolling out of bed and you're like, I'm ready for the day, but like then the other half, you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen, and
Yeah.
I'm just here so I don't get fined, right? Like I'm doing the best I can. And it just does feel that we're, especially as building business owners, I always want to stay as busy as I can. Like, I want to work with as many folks as I can because I know that what I'm offering is great.
Yeah.
So then, but it also means like, oh, I need to balance my life and my work and who I am, right? Like, I need to be able to rejuvenate. And I think that's a lot of what your work is, at least to me. And please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's unfortunately always going to be a struggle to some degree because the bigger your business gets, if you so choose to make it bigger, then
Mhm.
new things are going to happen. And your life is going to change. So that's going to make things happen. Like again, you're never going to have that balance. But if we can find one simple practices that get us through some of these
Yeah,
crazy moments,
for sure.
acknowledging that as
Acknowledge
brilliant
it's
as humans
crazy.
are, this is just not, we weren't, our brains, our bodies were not ready for where we are technologically. And then acknowledging that we're going to be safe. We just keep moving forward and everything. Like, we are strong and we have people to lean on, and we should lean on them and we should ask for help.
Hey. Right? Like, I think of all the things, like, that's probably, I mean, you're brilliant. Like, you wouldn't be here if you weren't. But, like, being strong, being great, but also asking for help, like, I think a lot of people can really understand, like, that can be the hardest part of your entire day. Can you help me? I
Yeah.
need help. Like, the question, the statement, both of them are tough.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it has a lot to do with we don't feel we're worthy of asking for help.
Mhm.
Sometimes we just don't know who to ask, and we don't want to inconvenience anybody. But if you flip it around, and somebody is like, "Hey, can you help me with this?" More often than not, we're going to be like,
Of
"Yes,
course we can. Yes, absolutely.
right?" And then moving even beyond that, like acknowledging if somebody can't help you, that's not a reflection on you. Like, it's just that maybe they have too much going on. They know their boundaries. I mean, it's such a deep problem, and we as givers are not often um, allowed by society to ask for help. We're just made to think,
Yeah.
we have to do it all,
Yeah.
and we're weak if we don't. And that's unfortunately something that a lot of us are really hitting up against in this building our business. But I want to change it. I think you want to change it. I think like let's let's
There's everything is figure outable. Like, we
yeah,
can do this.
yeah,
And what you're saying to me is like, we can balance it, acknowledging that we're not ready to be all the way in terms of like my day started, but like I don't want to jump into all the technology, all the emails, all of the whatever. I can go ahead and breathe a little bit whenever I needed it. Whenever I
yeah,
need it. It doesn't matter if it's when I first wake up, if it's in the middle of the day while I'm talking to someone, like I can exhale. And I
yeah.
think we're running around as business owners, we're like running around like I gotta do all these things and like holding our breath and
Yeah. We're not going to be the best we can be if we don't take practices, like if we don't start instilling this stuff.
Yeah.
because somebody who has small practices and has a little less anxiety is far more approachable, and you feel a little safer than somebody who's like, I can help you, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
and I mean, I appreciate the terminology, you need to feel better so you can serve better,
Sure.
and you should just feel better. We're human beings, and I don't believe we were not put on this planet in this existence to suffer. That is just, we are meant to enjoy
Hmm.
and experience.
Yeah.
So, I heard a really wonderful thing last night about building. Renice is her name, about building white space into your schedule. And this is something I'm working on, of like ending a meeting 5 minutes before the next thing I have to do. And then just in those 5 minutes, maybe I have to run to the bathroom, or maybe I can just sit there
Yeah.
and not look at my email and not look at my phone
Yeah.
and everything. But even those little, like 1 2 minute moments are going to build up in your body in a good way, because you're reminding your body that you're safe.
I mean, I can tell, I'll speak from the eye again, right? My meetings are all kind of different. They have like the same, through line, right? We're talking about business, we're talking about operations, we're talking about systems. But like, if I'm talking to you versus the next person that's coming on my thing, like, I'm not going to keep talking to you for 5 hours. I got 5 meetings in those 5 hours. So I need to be able to switch gears and feel like I'm bringing my whole self
Yeah.
with that switch. So it definitely makes sense to end a few minutes early. And I have bad shoulders, so I like to just roll them around a little bit and, kind of do a little jig. Drinking water. Maybe that's a big one. Drink some water during those bio breaks.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't, don't gulp it. Just like enjoy some water. And that can be your mindfulness moment too. Like that can be your simple, like, what does the water taste like? What does it feel like going down my throat? How does
Yeah.
my body feel accepting this water? Like it doesn't have to be like this crazy big practice. Make it simple, because those are the things that are going to stick faster.
Yeah. We'll do it. We'll actually do it because it
Yeah.
doesn't take nothing but a minute. So, all right. So as we're starting to wrap up,
Mhm.
I want you to give a word, a phrase. Like, what should this overwhelmed, frustrated, just trying to make it entrepreneur, what should they keep in mind? In the words of Super Kate, y'all need to be focusing on.
Ease. That's the first one that comes to mind. I'm
Yes.
really leaning into that word recently. It feels good to say. It feels relaxing to say.
Yeah.
Um, and to me, that is that simplicity. It's the, it's the breath that isn't fighting for itself. It's because the more you lean into how can this be more easeful, the more you're leaning into a direction that is natural for you.
And all the things that we've talked about, right? End a little early, do those, but that butterfly hug, that's done and done. I need to do that more often. Like those things are, to me, those are just little pieces that really move the needle towards your life being easeful.
Like being able to be quiet just a little bit more to feel what is easeful, because we want to separate the mind and the body, but there's every day there's more and more connections being made between how they affect each other. And
Yes.
so, if something isn't feeling easeful, like, or natural, ask yourself why. I mean, it could just be that you're doing something new and it's going to require more of, more attention in a certain way. Or maybe it is really like, I actually don't agree with this. So that's going against my nature, and that doesn't feel
Yeah.
like, you don't try not to do that. Like,
Yeah. It's and ease is not easy. Ease
Mm-mm.
is not the same. So if you're looking
Right.
for your mathematical equation, ease does not equal easy, but it should feel like this was a natural progression.
Yeah.
All right, lady. Well, keep being super Kate because you're fantastic.
Thank
Uh,
you.
tell people how to get a hold of you, and I'm sure you want people to meet you in some way. So give them all the things. How can we? How can they get in touch? How can they work with you more? Learn more about you.
Yeah, well, I have an Instagram, which is at the underscore SuperKate. And I'm on LinkedIn as SuperKate Slepika. I'm on Facebook as the same. Um, my website is thesuperkate.com. And, shoot me an email, superkate at thesuperkate.com. Like, let's talk. Let's like, I want to be able to serve and change all of this unsustainable stuff that we have going on here. So if I can help you a little bit, if you can help somebody else, like it's just let's get the ball, the rocks, all of it, let's get everything rolling.
Yes, all the things should be rolling.
Yes. Yeah. Easily.
Killing them with that easefully. Yes, I've never said ease so much in one conversation, and I'm here for it. And I
Right.
use the adjective and the adverb for it. Like, yes. Thank you again, Super Kate. Everybody listening to the Idea to Empire podcast. I'm Sinead Jackson. This is Super Kate, and we gonna be out. Bye,
See
y'all.
ya. Bye.